Welcome to our latest video. Today we're diving into the Laverda 1000, its character, its strengths and weaknesses, and which version fits which rider. Brought to you by Motorize.da, your first stop for new and used parts. The Big Laverda is all about no-compromise engineering from Braganza, a burly triple, a stout steel frame, and that unmistakable presence in Arancio Laverda, the signature factory orange. We'll show you how the bike feels, what to look for when buying, and which upgrades actually make sense. To set the tone, here's a detail you hear right away. Many bikes still wear their original LaFranconi silencers, whose metallic timbre carries and amplifies the gritty three-cylinder throb like a built-in amp. Stay tuned to find out whether the 1000 is just a legend, or truly the rugged long-distance tool with an Italian edge that it's revered as. History and development. In 1973, Laverda unveiled the 1003C, leaving the twin-cylinder era behind. The new 981cc triple was air-cooled with double overhead cams, launched on spoked wheels with a rear drum brake. The very first bikes even used scarab calipers up front. In 1975 came the 3CL, the L for Lega light alloy wheels, now with 3 Brembo discs. In the UK, Slater Brothers sharpened the Jota in 1976 with 4C cams, higher compression, and the adjustable Jota bars, making it one of the fastest production bikes of its day. Steady refinement defined the range. Sturdier electrics, tauter chassis, stronger brakes. In 1982, the big triples of the RGS family switched to a 120-degree crank for smoother running and better long-distance comfort. A neat touch from the transition years, many 3CLs wore Speedline cast wheels, giving the 1000 a more modern stance and greater stability under braking, without diluting its raw character. Technical highlights. Under the tank beats a 981cc triple with 2 valves per cylinder and dual overhead cams. Bore and stroke are 75 by 74 millimeters. 3 Del Orto PHF carburetors, 32 or 36 millimeters depending on spec, feed the engine. The primary drive uses straight-cut gears to a multi-plate wet clutch with a 5-speed gearbox. A steel double cradle frame carries a 38mm Seriani or Marzocchi fork up front, with Marzocchi shocks at the rear. Braking is by 3 Brembo discs. On many 3CLs you'll find P8 calipers biting 280mm front discs. 18-inch cast wheels, a wheelbase of about 480mm, and a dry weight around 230 kilograms set the tone. And a lovely period touch. Big Veglia Borletti instruments with a boldly scaled speedometer that celebrates the era's confident speeds. Plus, on early bikes, both electric and kickstarting. Design and ergonomics. The Laverda 1000 wears its muscle on the outside. A long angular tank with deep knee cutouts, a narrow waist, and a tautly padded, almost flat seat. Tomaselli Yoda adjustable bars click through 3 positions. Upright for the long haul, tipped for a racier reach, and the slightly rear-set, eccentrically adjustable foot pegs let you fine-tune leg length and knee angle. Large, high-mounted Veglia round gauges stay easy to read even with the frame thrumming, while the slim side covers with 1000 script elegantly disguise the mass. Signature high-set twin-exit silencers lift the tail visually. In Arancio Laverda with black side panels, it looks like a tool. No frills, all business. A small, cherished detail, the delicate domino switchgear, as Italian in the hand as the rest. Solid, direct, honest. Handling and everyday usability. The 1000 asks for a firm hand and pays you back with rock-solid composure. You feel its mass at turn-in, but the long wheelbase and stiff double cradle frame keep it planted through fast sweepers. Between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM, the triple pulses noticeably. Beyond that, it comes on song and pulls cleanly. The Brembo setup with 3 discs delivers stout, fade-resistant braking, especially with quality pads in the P8 calipers. The Marzocchi suspension is on the firm side, precise on smooth asphalt, harsh in the cobblestone jungle. Day-to-day, the clutch needs a strong hand and first gear is tall, but the air-cooled motor shrugs off traffic, and the roughly 22-liter tank buys real range. If you don't want to mess with the steering geometry, tune it with tires. Common sizes like 190/18 up front and 120/90/18 at the rear make it noticeably more nimble without watering down its core character. Strengths and highlights. Substance over show. The large capacity triple delivers its shove in a clean, linear sweep with solid mid-range punch and that metallic mechanical beat. A stiff frame and long wheelbase make the Laverda a rocket speed, almost impossible to unsettle. 3-disc brakes provide period-leading stopping power, ideally teamed with braided steel lines and fresh P08 calipers. Oversized bottom-end bearings and hefty crank webs underpin the Braganza engine's legendary longevity. A special treat is the howl of the straight-cut primary drive, lending the soundtrack a race shop edge. And then there's the surprising touring ability. The long seat and adjustable Jota bars let you choose your ergonomics, and the big tank keeps fuel stops few and far between. Perfect for fast, long back-road runs. Weak points and common issues. Robust fundamentals, but their own quirks. The charging system on the early 180-degree bikes offers little reserve. A weak battery quickly punishes the starter sprag. The triplex primary chain needs correct tension and its slipper tensioner wears. Neglect it, and the chain will howl and chew up its guide. Dell'Orto PHF carbs are sensitive to sink. Leaky choke plungers make the idle far too rich. The 5-speed gearbox is stiff when cold, and the shift return spring can break. A later spec part helps. Valve clearances are shim under bucket, so the cams have to come out for adjustment, which takes time. On the chassis side, the original steering head ball bearings tend to notch, and the swing arms plane bushes like regular attention. After long storage, Brembo P08 pistons corrode and seize. From 1982, the RGS's 120-degree crank brought smoother running, but weak alternator output remains a perennial gripe. Accessories and customization. If you're aiming for period-correct refinement, highlight its virtues with a light touch. For both sound and heat, go with Lafranconi Jota mufflers or a 3-into-2 system with 3 primaries feeding 2 cans. With Dell'Orto PHF carbs, main jets around 125-130 often hit the sweet spot. The front end benefits from progressive fork springs and a fork brace. Braided steel lines and modern pads give the Brembo P08 calipers real bite. Electrically, a Sachs electronic ignition and a modern regulator rectifier, Shindengen for example, are smart upgrades. The Nippon Denso alternator from RGS conversions, about 260 watts, is a popular choice. Ergonomically, adjustable Jota bars and rear sets add sport without upsetting the geometry. Visually, an SFC bikini fairing with a slim solo seat keeps it classic, with everything easily reversible. Tire tip for 18-inch wheels, Pirelli Phantom Sport Comp or similar patterns that preserve the Laverda's neutral analog steering feel. Market value and buying checklist. Value hinges on spec, originality, and history. Early 3Cs on wire wheels with a rear drum typically fetch 12 to 18 KO ready to ride. Very good or freshly restored examples make 20 to 25 KO. 3Ls on cast wheels with a rear disc sit in a similar band, while genuine 180-degree Jotas are markedly higher. Essentials: matching frame and engine numbers and period-correct details. Early 3Cs often wear scarab calipers, later ones Brembos. Original Lafranconi silencers carry embossed markings. Jota specifics include stamped 4C cams and the 3-position Tomaselli bar. Checks: starter sprag clutch, charging voltage, the triplex primary chain and its tensioner, crisply synchronized Dell'Ortos, and complete records for valve clearance and timing chain work. Feel for notchiness in the headstock bearings and play in the swing arm. Parts support is strong thanks to specialists like OCT and Laverda Paradius. Top quality but seldom cheap. Bottom line and buying advice. The Laverda 1000 isn't a sanitized classic. It's an honest machine for people who love real mechanics. If you're after raw throb and rock-solid high-speed stability, the 3C or 3CL is spot on. If you prefer a more refined ride, the RGS with its 120-degree crank is the more mature sport tourer. A true Jota delivers maximum bite, sharper 4C cams, the adjustable Jota bars, and a keener appetite for revs, but it demands care and strong forearms. Buying advice: a mechanically healthy, correctly detailed bike with documented maintenance beats any cosmetic show restoration. Plan on an electrical refresh, braided steel brake lines, and fresh tires. Big gains for everyday usability and safety. On the test run, make sure all 3 cylinders come on song immediately, the sprag clutch doesn't slip, and the Brembo brakes bite evenly. If it ticks those boxes, nothing stands in the way of the fun. And that 22-liter tank invites you to take it a very long way.